You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
No, you have
His
repeatedly.
statement. Wait,
you have
just 1
No,
second.
you've been talking
You
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
Howdy, sprouting sunflowers. How you feeling?
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it, and
You
we
know, if
would
you want to
very-
switch seats.
Any of you watch the first presidential debate?
We would
could-
very quickly.
we could do that, but
I'd
I'm-
send
no,
in
I-
the National Guard. It would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay,
But they
good.
don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing
That's right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
Are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to
do
specifically
that, but
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go
supremacists
ahead.
and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. Go ahead.
Supremacists
Who
and
would
right
you like me to condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem.
His
This
own
is a left-wing.
FBI director
This
said
is a
the threat
left-wing
of
Go ahead,
problem.
white
go ahead,
supremacists.
You know what?
No,
He's
no,
wrong.
we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're
When a
moving.
bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody
Antifa
in your
is
administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump
And
and
you ought to be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When a
if you say
president, I'm going to ask a question.
Now, if you're a weirdo like me, you probably spend a lot of time just perusing the FBI's website. Normally, I'm looking at public corruption cases or counterintelligence. But if you ever check out their counterterrorism page, you can find some pearls of wisdom. Fascinating information, let me tell you. Information including the definition of domestic terrorism. Isn't that nice? 21st century convenience. United States Code, Title 18, Crimes and Criminal Procedure. Chapter 113B, you guessed it, terrorism. The term domestic terrorism means activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal law of the United States or of any state. Activities that appear to be intended to 1. Intimidate or coerce a civilian population. 2. To influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. Or 3. To affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. And which occurs primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. You get it. Domestic terrorism. Now let's talk about those, what were they called again?
Right,
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
Right. Thank you, Mr. President. The Proud Boys. The Proud Boys were founded by this guy, Gavin McInnes. Seen here dressed as what it would look like if that Mormon kid you met in high school grew up to become a mid-level drug dealer in the former Yugoslavia. McInnes moved from Canada to the United States in 2001 to found Vice magazine. His various media outlets have often welcomed on so-called race realists, a cleaned-up term for white supremacists and really all manner of segregationist genocideers, the likes of which Gavin McInnes seems to almost constantly support. And he isn't just guilty of nodding his head in agreement. McInnes has frequently spouted obvious right-wing talking points. In addition to his pro-segregation ideas, race realist ideas, he's also published such illustrious works as Transphobia is Perfectly Natural, a thought catalog piece that if we're being honest, sounds more like an anti-trans manifesto than a work of legitimate journalism. He's even topped off his bigotry buffet with a heavy dose of hatred for women. Big shocker. This career in written extremism naturally culminated in the eventual creation of an extremist group. In September of 2016, the Proud Boys were founded. They call themselves a pro-Western fraternal organization, easily identified by their red MAGA hats and yellow-trimmed black Freddy polos, which really gives them that extra dose of my daddy's a lawyer privilege. At this point, why don't they just scream I hate immigrants in the middle of a whites-only country club in 1963? Yeah, but that would be an insult to 1963, so I really do not enjoy being this angry. But it's 2020, so welcome to heck. This glorified neo-Nazi fraternity started with 3 tiers of membership. What must an esteemed gentleman do to gain admission to this illustrious organization? Well, Tier 1 is pretty simple. A man must simply declare, quote, I am a Western chauvinist, and I refuse to apologize for creating the modern world. What part of the modern world these angry toddlers turned emotionally stunted adult men created is still unclear, as they seem to spend most of their time insulting women on Reddit from the comfort of their mother's basement, but, you know, I'm sure one of them's done something. What's that? The Proud Boys created the polio vaccine? No? Oh, that was Jonas Salk. Ah. To enter the second tier of membership, a Proud Boy has to endure a beating whilst yelling out the names of 5 breakfast cereals. This is apparently meant to demonstrate something called adrenaline control. They're also supposed to give up masturbation, as in theory that will help them meet more women somehow. Excuse me while I vomit. I'm gonna... It's real quick. Oh, of course! No, there's no need to, like, improve yourself or work on changing your personality or have empathy for others. Just stop masturbating and all your problems will be solved! Huzzah! I mean, less time in your mother's basement is probably a good thing, Kyle. Now, is it just me, or is this starting to sound a lot like a terrorist organization? Or at the very least, like some kind of disgusting criminal gang, right? Isn't assaulting somebody as a membership requirement sort of a red flag? And now a little spooky? I don't know. Might be a deal breaker. And yes, this is the point where they start to sound less like a fraternity and much more like a terrorist organization. Assuming there's a difference. Anyway, and then there's the third degree. This one's pretty simple. All they have to do is demonstrate their dedication to the group by getting a Proud Boys tattoo. Seen here on one of their esteemed members, who is coincidentally awaiting trial for his participation in a gang assault that took place, you guessed it, right after a Proud Boys event. Like 11 seconds after. Like, it was like... Now here's something even more interesting. Any man, without regard to his race or sexual orientation, can actually become a Proud Boys member. Though first he has to, quote, recognize that white men are not the problem. And yes, several men of color have apparently taken up membership in this organization, though the core of their leadership and rank and file is decidedly of the Caucasian persuasion. On paper, they adhere to a list of somewhat outlandish libertarian-leaning principles, and they eschew the white supremacist label, simply claiming to be a pro-Western organization that just so happens to advocate closed borders and opposes what they call racial guilt. Cool. So I'm sure none of this is a dog whistle. Very cool, very normal, nothing shady here. Don't worry guys, they're not Nazis for sure, though. They're definitely not neo-fascists. They've even gone so far as to label themselves anti-racists who would never support senseless violence. Actions, however, speak much louder than words, and the Proud Boys' history is littered with misdeeds. In 2017, Gavin McInnes was caught randomly assaulting a protester just minutes after giving a speech at NYU. Why NYU had him give a speech there, I cannot imagine. Later, he said, quote, "I cannot recommend violence enough. It's a very effective way to solve problems," end quote. Oopsies. Did you accidentally tell the truth, Gavin McInnes? Oh, applesauce. In October of 2018, this bundle of Proud Boys members leaving an event at New York State Republican Party headquarters decided it would be fun to beat a bunch of protesters within an inch of their lives. And this time, it was caught on video.
Go, boys! You ready? Go, boys! Oh, yo!
Oh my God! Oh my God! No! Oh my God! No! No!
Take it! Take this motherfucker! Hey, stop! Stop! Walk away! Walk away! Walk away! Let's go!
And despite the clear evidence in this case, it actually took a while for police to arrest all 10 Proud Boys members who were proven to have participated in the gang assault. And it should be noted, they were so brazen about their actions that this photo I showed you a second ago, it was taken after they attacked the protesters, not before. Using that as something to go on, it kind of looks like they've become remarkably accustomed to violent activity. One Proud Boys member, who was eventually convicted in this particular case, has also admitted to his participation in a similar assault that occurred only a week before, involving a swarm of Proud Boys members in Providence, Rhode Island? In a Providence, Rhode Island May Day parade. He's quoted as saying they went to the parade to, quote, "crush Antifa skulls." Didn't know Antifa was so interested in parades, but sure. Why not? Also, do you remember the Unite the Right rally? The event that turned a lovely southern city into a temporary mecca for Klansmen all around the nation? Unite the Right, the massive white supremacist demonstration that got an American civilian killed. This guy, Jason Kessler, was the rally's principal organizer. He has also been filmed undergoing the Proud Boys' second-tier initiation ritual. You know, the one with the assault and breakfast cereals. Boy, extremists sure are wacky, aren't they? It should also be said that only 2 months before that, Jason Kessler went on the Gavin McInnes show to promote his Unite the Right rally. But yeah, I'm sure the group has absolutely no connection to white supremacists at all. And yeah, in early 2017, the Proud Boys added a 4th tier of membership to their little hierarchy. In order to enter their 4th degree, a member must get involved in a major fight for the cause. What exactly does that mean? Well, according to their leader, it means, quote, "You get beat up, kick the crap out of an Antifa." An eloquent statement, sir, truly. Following that statement, Gavin McInnes claimed he was, quote, "ready to get violent and beat the F-U-C-K out of everybody," end quote. Wow, he is Shakespeare. Of course, Later, he tried to take back his statement saying he was opposed to senseless violence. So, I'm sure having to point that out is a really positive fact. I mean, who among us hasn't had to clarify to the media that we're not in favor of random assault? Happens to the best of us, I'm sure. And if all of that isn't enough to prove their penchant for violence, you should know that in 2017, one of their members announced the creation of a tactical defense arm of the Proud Boys. The group is rather ominously named the Fraternal Order of Alt Knights, or Folk. This paramilitary organization is the brainchild of none other than Kyle Chapman, a thrice-convicted felon with a rap sheet so long that his 2017 conviction for assaulting an unarmed protester is really nothing more than a footnote in his endless parade of violent political activity. Are you worried yet? Because this worries me. Hateful men engaging in tactical military exercises worries me a lot. And here's what's even scarier. The Proud Boys took off after the 2016 presidential election, and they've been growing ever since. Each of their social media pages had over 20,000 followers by the end of 2017. And some estimates put them even as high as more than 6,000 active members. 6,000 active members. 6,000 men engaging in tactical military exercises, reinforcing each other's bigoted beliefs, and, according to Gavin McInnes, going to group meetings that mostly consist of drinking, fighting, and reading from Pat Buchanan's Death of the West. Calling themselves a pro-Western organization has allowed the Proud Boys to successfully camouflage themselves in part as a tolerant and progressive organization, saying things like, if Islam is harming women and killing gays, then aren't we doing the right thing by defending our Western values and opposing Muslim influence? Geez, they are gonna lose their minds when they find out gays can be Muslim too. Whew. And they're not the first to do this. Far-right European political parties have used little chunks of progressivism, like encouraging secular government and protecting women's rights, as a justification for discriminating against all kinds of outsiders and shutting down borders. In reality, all they're really spending their time doing is pushing aggressively anti-immigrant and racist legislation, meant to discriminate against all newcomers and create an aggressively stagnant society. Like Norm A. Because of this intentional cognitive dissonance, the Proud Boys have become this semi-permeable membrane between edgy meme lords on Reddit and real-life hardcore right-wing terrorists. Terrorists that, let me remind you, murder innocent Americans on a regular basis. And they're not getting more moderate as they age. They're becoming increasingly extreme, with several members attempting to alter membership requirements for the group, making it whites only and allowing them to affiliate directly with white supremacist and anti-immigrant organizations. And the Proud Boys are a recipe for radicalization. Their individual members can operate across all social media platforms, and as soon as we discover them and shut down one account, another one pops up in its place. And yeah, if that sounds familiar to you, it's because they're not the first extremist group to do this.
Top law enforcement officials tell ABC News the country faces an unprecedented threat, the most sophisticated marketing and social media campaign ever devised by a terrorist organization.
ISIS has exploited social media to recruit new fighters and spread its violent ideology. Recent Twitter postings show a young jihadi boy with a knife and this masked baby in a teddy bear jacket flanked by weapons.
They're using hip-hop to lure young recruits to the front lines of a deadly war, even using a fighter with model good looks to promote their cause.
For those people that are on the edge, this could have a lot of resonance. You're speaking to them in a language they understand, video, moving imagery, and music. And then this message comes in about, we want you. People do want to belong to tribes, and this is saying, join our tribe.
Now, let's look at that definition of domestic terrorism again. Actions that are dangerous to human life. Actions that violate the criminal laws of the United States or any state. Actions intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. Or actions intended to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. Or actions intended to affect the conduct of a government through mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. If assaulting civilians in the streets in the name of a political cause, if assaulting civilians in the streets in the name of a political cause isn't domestic terrorism, well, it is domestic terrorism. That's what it is. So for me, the only difference between the Proud Boys and ISIS is that one existed primarily overseas and has largely been stamped out by the United States military, and the other is embedded inside of the United States. Their members free to walk among us as they please, and instead of being stamped out by law enforcement, our nation's chief law enforcement officer has given them seemingly unbridled support. If you ask me, that's pretty fundamentally un-American. It sounds a lot more like something that would happen in Russia or Afghanistan or Saudi Arabia, not here. Not in the United States. It's not supposed to happen, anyway. Lemon water, lime water. Lime water. I am Bane. I was born in the darkness and shaped by... Can you believe I've never seen that movie? Not once. I've only seen memes and comedy bits about Bane. He was also... They had Bane in the Harley Quinn animated series, which I did watch, because that was pleasant and lovely and told some difficult themes, didn't it? And we all grew a little that day. We saw Harley liberated from the arms of her abuser. Like, what's her name? Kesha! Kesha. We all had some thoughts about Kesha, didn't we? And her filthy, filthy style. Then we find out, what's up? Kesha wasn't even Kesha. Kesha was being practically held hostage, and now she's her own person. Does she still call herself Kesha? I don't know, but the dollar sign definitely isn't in the name anymore. I don't really know anything about this, but I'm happy she and her mother aren't being abused anymore, as far as I know. Fuck. Alright. No more makeup. Cause you can't put on too much makeup. Well, you can. And some would say I already have, but what do those people know? Professional cosmetologists. Oh, hello. Oh my god. I texted my sister just a second ago, about an hour ago, with information in case if I were to die in a car accident or something. I want her to find all of the half books I've written and other thoughts and assorted essays, because I don't want my work to be forgotten and remembered by no one but myself after I die. So they got to have those passwords and stuff. I'm gonna text her back real quick. You put the lime in the coconut and shake it all up. Put the lime in. What's all this? I gotta tell her literally nothing. It's literally nothing. It's absolutely nothing. She has nothing to worry about. How the shit does that look? Anything I can do to hide this hanging colonel that gives me the face, the melting candle face of poor Ted Cruz. Poor Ted Cruz. He's done a lot of bad things in his life. Still is. Yeah, don't you forget, he's still in the United States Senate. The bastard. The rat bastard. Poor Beto. He would have been better. He would not have been perfect, though. That's okay, but I don't know. A quality legislator literally saves lives. And an okay legislator only saves a few. So. But Beto O'Rourke as a person, he's lovely, I'm sure. Well, I've met him. He's fine. He's okay. He talked about bullfighting a lot.